Welcome to a productive semester for Stockton University's Management 2110 course. I'm Professor Bill Perkins. I'd like to welcome you to the course. And this is the Chapter 1 lecture based on the readings from the textbook Management, 13th edition by Robbins and Coulter, which has been published by Pearson Education. So our learning objectives are we're going to explain why managers are important to organizations. We're going to tell who managers are and where they work. We're going to know how to manage your time. And we're going to describe the functions, roles, and skills of managers. Then we're going to describe the factors that are reshaping and redefining the manager's job. And we're going to develop your skills at being politically aware. We're going to explain the value of studying management. So we're going to look at the 3 reasons why managers are important to organizations. First, managers are important because organizations need their managerial skills and abilities more than ever now that we experience many uncertain, complex, and chaotic times. As organizations deal with today's challenges, managers play an important role in identifying critical issues and crafting responses. And another reason why managers are important at organizations is because they're critical to getting things done. The job of a manager is to ensure that all employees are getting their jobs done. Remember, managers are focused towards the organization's goals, where employees may be focused on the task at hand or whatever the work list is for that day. But managers are like bigger picture. They're a little bit more visionary. So, and the third is or fourth rather, is the managers matter. A Gallup poll has been found that the single most important variable in employee productivity isn't loyalty or pay or benefits or the workplace environment. It's the quality of the relationship between employees and their direct supervisors. So who are managers? Managers run large corporations, medium-sized businesses, and entrepreneurial startups. They're found in government departments, hospitals, small businesses, not-for-profit agencies, museums, schools, and even such non-traditional organizations such as political campaigns and music tours. In many organizations, the changing nature of work has blurred the distinction between managers and non-managerial employees. You're starting to see this drive on empowerment, employee empowerment, and shared leadership, where organizations are now understanding the motivating factors behind empowering your people. So a lot of times it's now hard to decipher who's a manager and who's a first-line employee. So how do we define who managers are? A manager is someone who coordinates and oversees the work of other people so that organizational goals can be accomplished. So, like I said in the last slide, they're very visionary. They're a little bit more about the big picture. So in traditionally structured organizations, often pictured as a pyramid because more employees are at a lower organizational level than upper organizational levels, managers can be classified as first line, middle, or top management. Well, last slide I just spoke about the new trends in empowerment. You're going to start seeing some organizational culture shifts going away from this hierarchical or mechanistic style culture to more of a projectized or like clan culture, which we'll get into in the next chapters, but you're going to stop seeing the hierarchical cultures. So at the lowest level of management, first-line managers manage the work of non-managerial employees who are typically involved with producing the organization's products or servicing the organization's customers. First-line managers may be called supervisors or even shift managers, district managers, department managers, or office managers. Middle managers manage the work of first-line managers and can be found between the lowest and top levels of the organization. They may have titles such as regional manager, project leader, store manager, or division manager. At the upper levels of the organizations are the top managers, who are responsible for making organization-wide decisions and establishing the plans and goals that affect the entire organization. These individuals typically have titles such as Executive Vice President, President, Managing Director, Chief Operating Officer, or Chief Executive. So where do managers work? A very basic question with a very basic answer. Organizations. What is an organization? It's a deliberate arrangement of people to accomplish some specific purpose. It's a deliberate arrangement of people to accomplish some specific purpose. You may see that again. Your college or university is an organization. So are fraternities, sororities, government departments, churches, your neighborhood grocery store, the United Way, the St. Louis Cardinals baseball team, and the Mayo Clinic. They are all considered organizations and have three common characteristics. First, an organization has a distinct purpose, typically expressed through goals the organization hopes to accomplish. A lot of times these goals are consolidated in a vision or mission statement, so your organization may have them. Other times they'll just specify their goals in a strategic plan. So, second, each organization is composed of people. It takes people to perform the work that's necessary for the organization to achieve its goals. So, third, all organizations develop a deliberate structure within which members do their work. Now remember, an organization is a deliberate arrangement of people to accomplish some specific purpose. Organizations share three common characteristics, which is in this Venn diagram. First, each has a distinct purpose. Second, each is composed of people. And third, each develops some deliberate structure so that members can do their work. Much like I talked earlier about the different cultures, whether it's hierarchical, projectized, mechanistic in nature, whatever the more conducive culture is for getting the job done. Those are the different structures you'll see. So what do managers do? Management involves coordinating and overseeing the work activities of others so their activities are completed efficiently and effectively. So while coordinating and overseeing the work of others is what distinguishes a managerial position from a non-managerial one, this doesn't mean that managers can do what they want anytime, anywhere, or anyway. Instead, management involves ensuring that the work activities are completed efficiently and effectively by people responsible for doing them, or at least that's what managers should be doing. So we've discussed effectiveness and efficiency. So many people can't distinguish between the two. Efficiency refers to getting the most output from the least amount of inputs or resources. So managers deal with the scarce resources, including people, money, and equipment, and want to use those resources efficiently. Effectiveness is often described as doing the right things. That is, doing those work activities that will result in achieving goals. So you want to remember, effectiveness is doing the right things, whereas efficiency is concerned with the means of getting things done. So effectiveness is concerned with the ends or attainment of goals, and efficiency is concerned with the means of getting things done. So effectiveness would be considered doing the right things, whereas efficiency would be doing the things right. Now, management should be striving for attaining goals with minimal resource usage, transitioning to high attainment with low waste, as depicted in this illustration. According to the functions approach, managers perform certain activities or functions as they efficiently and effectively coordinate the work of others. Now, what are these functions? Henry Fayol, a French businessman, first proposed in the early part of the 20th century that all managers perform 5 functions: planning, organizing, commanding, coordinating, and controlling. Today, these functions have been considered, are actually condensed down to 4, which are planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. So the functions approach, if you were asked on an exam, for example, the functions approach has 4 functions: planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. So here we have 4 functions of management laid out in an illustration exhibiting how to lead to achieving the organization's stated purpose or vision, mission, or strategic goals. So as managers engage in planning, they set goals, establish strategy for achieving those goals, and develop plans to integrate and coordinate activities. When managers organize, they determine what tasks are to be done, who is to do them, how the tasks are to be grouped, who reports to whom, and where decisions are to be made. When managers motivate subordinates, help resolve work group conflicts, or influence individuals or teams as they work, select most effective communication channels, or deal in any way with employee behavior issues, they are leading. Okay, so if you're dealing with human behavior, conflict resolution, chances are you're in the leading function. And to ensure goals are met and work is done as it should be, managers monitor and evaluate performance. So we're going back to the effectiveness and efficiency. Actual performance is compared with the set goals, and if those goals aren't achieved, it's the manager's job to get the work back on track. So this process of monitoring, comparing, and correcting is the controlling function. So Henry MINTZBERG, a renowned management researcher, studied actual managers at work. In his first comprehensive study, MINTZBERG concluded that what managers do can best be described by looking at managerial roles they engage in at work. The term managerial roles refers to specific actions or behaviors expected of and exhibited by a manager. As we see here, the managerial roles are grouped around interpersonal relationships, the transfer of information, and decision making. The interpersonal roles involve people. Those are subordinates and persons inside the organization, and other ceremonial and symbolic duties. The 3 interpersonal roles include figurehead, leader, and liaison. The informational roles involve collecting, receiving, and disseminating information. The 3 informational roles include monitor, disseminator, and spokesperson. Finally, the decisional roles entail making decisions or choices that include entrepreneur, disturbance handler, resource allocator, and negotiator. And this is how MINTZBERG's managerial roles are categorized. The interpersonal roles include the figurehead, the leader, and the liaison. All of these roles require a high degree of human relation skills and dealing with people to achieve tasks or goals. The decisional roles include entrepreneur, disturbance handler, resource allocator, and negotiator. These roles require a high degree of judgment and methods for resolution. The final category, informational roles, include spokesperson, disseminator, and monitor. These require the ability to digest information and be able to communicate the same. So, what type of skills do managers need? Robert L. Katz proposed that managers need 3 critical skills in managing, and they would be technical, human, and conceptual. Technical skills are the job-specific knowledge and techniques needed to proficiently perform work tasks. These skills tend to be more important for first-line managers because they typically manage employees who use tools and techniques to produce the organization's products or service the organization's customers. The human skills involve the ability to work well with other people, both individually and in a group. Because all managers deal with people, these skills are equally important to all levels of management. Finally, the conceptual skills are the skills managers use to think and conceptualize about abstract and complex situations. So, using these skills, managers see the organization as a whole. They understand the relationships among various subunits and visualize how the organization fits into its broader environment. So these skills are most important to top managers. So this slide does an excellent job of depicting the degree of skill each level of management requires. So in accordance with Katz's framework, for example, top managers require a high degree of conceptual skills with a moderate degree of human skills and a low degree of technical skills. Middle managers require a moderate amount of all 3 to remain balanced. Remember, they're dealing with everything in a 360-degree sphere. So they're dealing with top management and they're dealing with the lower level managers. So they have to have a moderate level of skills in all 3 categories. So the lower level managers require more technical skills with a moderate amount of human relation skills and not as much conceptual skills as others. So your main takeaway is that although there are different degrees of skills required at the 3 levels, each level requires all 3 skills. You're not going to be an effective manager if you don't have all 3. It doesn't matter the degree of management that you're in. So, other important managerial skills that have been identified or listed in this illustration. In today's demanding and dynamic workplace, employees who want to be valuable assets must constantly upgrade their skills and develop management skills that can be particularly beneficial in today's workplace. For those of you who aren't familiar with the term human capital, it is one's potential based on talent, knowledge, skills, and abilities. So when we view capital in an organization, we are thinking of asset or investment. Well, humans are assets, especially when focusing on management or leadership. And the rest of these are pretty self-explanatory. I'll leave them up there for a little bit. So moving on to the changes facing managers. In today's world, managers are dealing with global economic and political uncertainties, changing workplaces, ethical issues, security threats, and changing technology. It's likely that more managers will have to manage under such demanding circumstances, and the fact is that how managers manage is changing. So in this exhibit, it shows some of the most important changes facing managers today. So you have the changing technology, and you have the corresponding impact of change. That's shifting organizational boundaries, virtual workplaces, more mobile workforce, flexible work arrangements, empowered employees, work-life, personal life balance. So, with the changing technology, if you're a tech-based organization, chances are you're getting away from that hierarchical, that pyramid-style culture I talked about earlier. And then the next change, we have increased emphasis on organizational and managerial ethics. So you have redefined values, rebuilding trust, increased accountability. You think lately, I don't know if any of you are familiar with what happened with Wells Fargo. It got away from its organization's values. It was driven by productivity as far as financial gain, which most banks most banks are. However, getting away from the organization's values and being driven by the financial gain is what resulted in employees creating those fake accounts. Huge ethical violations. They're going to be paying out a lot of money to customers on lawsuits and retribution. So they essentially are going to have to rebrand themselves. And when you hear rebranding consequent to ethical violations, that's what we're talking about here. So the turbulence of change in that area is calling for more redefined values, rebuilding the trust, and increased accountability. So the next change, we have increased competitiveness. It's customer service, innovation, globalization, and efficiency and productivity. So we're going to talk a little bit more about globalization in Chapter 4, I believe. So stay tuned for that. And next final change that they list here is the changing security threats. And then you're getting into the impacts or risk management. You see a lot of jobs advertised now for risk managers. Uncertainty over future energy sources, restructured workplace, discrimination concerns, globalization concerns. So as technology changes, so you have one change driving another change. So it comes with accompanied security threats, especially those of you who are in the IT world. You see a lot of this. So the importance of customers. Customers are the reason that organizations exist. So managing customer relationships is the responsibility of all managers and employees. Consistent, high-quality customer service is essential for survival. I'll leave this up here for you note takers. When you think about how important customers are, you need customers. Without them, most organizations would cease to exist. Yet focusing on the customer has long been thought to be a responsibility of marketing types. So managing customer relationships is the responsibility of all managers and employees. Today, the majority of employees in developed countries work in service jobs. So almost 77% of the U.S. labor force is employed in the service industry, and that's why there's more of a shift to customer focus. So this is a very contemporary hot topic, social media. So today, the new frontier is social media. Forms of electronic communication through which users create online communities to share ideas, information, personal messages, and other content. More than 1 billion people use social platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and others. Although sources say it's too early to draw any conclusions, it appears that managers who actively make use of social media have increases in performance. The information sharing is paramount, and this becomes a major catalyst for information sharing. So many organizations have taken on use of social media. But when we just spoke in the last couple slides about the changes that are, technology introduces, social media now drives organizations to encompass social media or digital compass having a digital compass to accompany your personal compass in their communication plans. So this also drove a need because I'm sure most of you have heard of ethical violations and social media infractions in organizations. People being fired because they didn't realize that they couldn't speak their mind. With most organizations now, even contracts are covering behavior after hours on social media. So anytime you represent your organization online, it's no different than representing your organization in a traditional face-to-face method. So another contemporary hot topic, you think of the effectiveness and efficiency we spoke about earlier. So how do we become more effective and efficient without the creativity to think of the new tools and techniques, right? Innovation means doing things differently, exploring new territory, and taking risks. Innovation isn't just for high-tech or technology sophisticated organizations. Innovation efforts can be found in all types of organizations. And you're starting to see innovation and creativity as being attributes that most human resource departments are looking for in job applicants or candidates. It's one of those attributes that they find that's associated with your profile. It can be developed. However, it's highly sought after because of the drive to be effective and efficient. So sometimes the ideas are going to come from anyone in the organization. So they open the floor up, and it's not top management thinking of all the ideas on how to be effective or efficient, because the guy who's the lowest ranking in the organization may have the best idea. So you're starting to see a drive towards valuing diversity, valuing empowerment of employees and shared leadership, and that all connects with innovation. So you're starting to see shifts and trends in the workforce with this drive towards innovation and creativity. So throughout this lecture, we've stressed about achieving organizational goals. So the goals drive sustainability. What's emerging in the 21st century is the concept of managing in a sustainable way, which has had the effect of widening corporate responsibility, not only to managing in an efficient and effective way, but also to responding strategically to a wide range of environmental and societal challenges. So from a business perspective, sustainability has been defined as a company's ability to achieve its business goals and increase long-term shareholder value by integrating economic, environmental, and social opportunities into its business strategies. So why are you here? Why study management? Besides the fact that managers make more money than laborers, we can say with absolute certainty that management is needed in all types of and sizes of organizations, at all organizational levels, and in all organizational work areas, and in all organizations, no matter where they're located. This is known as the universality of management. So effective management is universally needed in all organizations. Therefore, it is imperative to find ways to improve the way organizations are managed. So why? Because we interact with organizations every single day. Organizations influence every aspect of our lives. So while being a manager comes with a lot of benefits, both intrinsic and extrinsic, there are a lot of challenges associated with being a manager. There are many challenges to being a manager. It can be tough and often a thankless job. Additionally, a portion of a manager's job, especially at lower organizational levels, may entail duties that are often more clerical, compiling and filing reports, dealing with the bureaucratic procedures, or doing paperwork. So A large percentage of managers spend significant amounts of time in meetings and deal with interruptions, which can be time-consuming and sometimes unproductive. Managers can often have, they often have to deal with a variety of personalities and have to make do with limited resources. So when you're seeing a conflict between two employees, to the laborers, they can shrug their shoulders. To them, it's not a big deal if it doesn't affect them, but to the manager, it's a big deal, and they have to go into fundamental approaches of conflict resolution, whether it's going to be an impediment to organizational change or it's going to adversely affect the organization's, accomplishment of its strategic plan. So a lot goes in from a manager's managerial lens as opposed to just a laborer's lens. So it can be a challenge to motivate workers in the face of uncertainty and chaos, which are constraints in management regardless of the field or discipline. So, now there's a driving, need for managerial personnel to be able to deal with what they call the VUCA environment. We're not going to talk about VUCA too much in this course, but it's those volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous occurrences, that we deal with. For example, if you were a manager, we spoke about the what happened with Wells Fargo, and you were part of the management team there, and you walk in one day to find out that there were some serious ethical violations, and you have to deal with it. You're going to take it to heart. You're going to get a little stressed about it, and you're going to have to buckle down and look at some fundamental approach to organizational change. That's going to be your responsibility, not the laborers, not the individuals who were creating the fake accounts, because they were driven by the bonuses that accompanied creating a new account. So despite challenges, being a manager can be rewarding. You're responsible for creating a work environment in which organizational members can do their work to the best of their ability and thus help the organization achieve its goals. You help others find meaning and fulfillment in their work. You get to support, coach, and nurture others and help them make good decisions. In addition, as a manager, you often have the opportunity to think creatively and use your imagination. You'll get to meet and work with a variety of people, both inside and outside the organization. Other rewards may include receiving recognition and status in your organization and in the community, playing a role in influencing organizational outcomes, and receiving attractive compensation in the form of salaries, bonuses, and stock options. To illustrate the rewards and challenges associated with management, take a look at this slide, which depicts many on either side. For those of you who grew concerned over the challenges, there are more rewards than challenges, and they're not really all listed. This is just in accordance to what you'll read in the textbook, but there are many more rewards, trust me on that. I'll leave this here for you to read. So in review of the first learning objective, why are managers important to organizations? Organizations need their managerial skills and abilities in uncertain, complex, and chaotic times. Managers are critical to getting things done in organizations, and managers contribute to employee productivity and loyalty. Continuing with our review to the second learning objective, who are managers and where do they work? Managers coordinate and oversee the work of other people so that organizational goals can be accomplished. Managers work in an organization which is a deliberate arrangement of people to accomplish some specific purpose. The third learning objective, what are the functions, roles, and skills of managers? Management involves coordinating and overseeing the efficient and effective completion of others' work activities. The 4 functions of management include planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. Continuing with the 3rd learning objective, remember that MINTZBERG'S managerial roles include interpersonal. It involves people and other ceremonial or symbolic duties, such as figurehead, leader, and liaison. Then you have the informational roles, collecting, receiving, and disseminating information. And that is accomplished by the monitor, disseminator, and spokesperson. And finally, you have the decisional role, and that's making choices, such as the entrepreneur, disturbance handler, resource allocator, and negotiator. Continuing on, now we're going to review Katz's framework. Katz's managerial skills include technical, and that encompasses job-specific knowledge and techniques. Then you have human, and that's the ability to work well with people. And then you have conceptual, and that's the ability to think and express ideas. So now we're going to review the 4th learning objective, and that brought us to the factors that are reshaping and redefining the manager's job. So, managers must be concerned with customer service, because employee attitudes and behaviors play a big role in customer satisfaction. Also, social media, because these forms of communication are becoming important and valuable tools in managing. Next, you have innovation, because it is important for organizations to be competitive. Finally, you have sustainability, as business goals are developed. So, in review of the 5th and final learning objective, explaining the value of studying management, you have the universality of management. Managers are needed in all types and sizes of organizations. Remember the reality of work. You will manage or be managed. And then remember the significant rewards and challenges. Remember, there are more rewards than challenges when it comes down to being a manager. So, thank you for your participation in the Chapter 1 lecture. Stay tuned for the history module lecture, and then check Blackboard for the week's activities and assignments. I'll see you in Chapter 2.